Hi, this is Courtney with GrayLaw TV, and today we're going to talk about the marriage interview. You've received your interview notice. They want to see you and your spouse for a marriage interview. You both need to go. You need to have ID, so driver's license if you have it, and passport, and you need a copy of your interview notice in order to get into the building, okay? Security lines can get long, so I would get there an hour in advance at least. I know the notice says don't come more than a half hour in advance, but they mean to the room where you're going to be doing your interview. They don't mean the big old line outside. So give yourself time for that as well, and to figure out where you're going, where you're going to park. If they have, if you accidentally brought in a nail file that you need to take back to the car, whatever the case may be, okay? So find a place to park. You don't want to be rushing because that can add to nerves. So park, walk up to the security line, follow their instructions. They can be a little grumpy at security. Ignore them. They're security guys. That's their job, to be intimidating. So you hand them your notice, you hand them your ID. They'll probably have you take off your shoes, belts, change in your pockets. If you could just not wear a belt or have change in your pockets, that would get you through security. I have like my outfit that I don't wear these earrings to security because they go off. I know what goes off. So just make sure that you can make it easy on yourself as possible. Okay. So you put your keys and you take out your phone, you put your purse on the conveyor belt or whatever you have, and you go through security, put all that stuff back on and back in your pockets, and then you'll go to the waiting room. So some places, there's just one room, okay? They're small little facilities. Other places have, like downtown LA, there's, 10 floors and, 18 different rooms that you can go to. So if, for example, downtown, you get, they want you in 6027. It'll say so actually on your interview notice. And, people are friendly enough, even the grumpy ones. You say, how do I get to 6024? And they'll say, it's the 6th floor, and you'll just go, okay? So find out where you need to go. When you get there, drop off your interview notice. They may say to you, it's too early to drop off your interview notice. That's fine. Just come back when it gets to that half-hour point and turn it in. Most offices will actually take it, and you'll get in the queue a little bit earlier, which is nice. It is sort of a first come, first served thing, but sometimes officers are assigned, 10 cases in the morning, and so it's first come, first served within that officer. So some officers work more quickly than others, so you'll see people who came in after you go in because that officer is working faster. Your officer is stuck in a long interview, and so you're waiting around for a while. Don't complain. Don't say anything, okay? You're just gonna sit and wait. When it says the interview is gonna take 2 hours, it's not. The waiting room is probably gonna take 2 hours, so just be patient. And if it's in the morning, plan half a day for it. If it's in the afternoon, plan the second half of the day for it. Just give yourself the time so you don't feel rushed, okay? When you get there, depending on the office, someone may call you after you drop your notice. Somebody might call you up to the front desk to take your fingerprint and take a photo of you. Sometimes they do that there, or sometimes the officer will do that once they take you back to the room. So the officer will call you by name. You say, here I am, and try to start the conversation with them. And I wouldn't just get up like a zombie and walk towards them. Oh, hi officer, here we are, we're coming, and get up quickly. Don't dawdle. The officer will take you back to his or her office. Usually there's just one officer, unless they're training someone, in which case there might be two. So you'll go back. They'll ask you probably to sit in a specific location. They usually want the applicant in the seat in front of the camera, or where they can see them better, and then the spouse sitting next to them. So just maybe take a pause before you sit in case or say, oh, would you like me to sit here? But before you sit, they're going to have you raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Make sure you remember which one is your right. They get annoyed if you raise your left or both or whatever. Okay, so raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Don't nod. Answer. Yes, you can nod as well, but also answer out loud. Sometimes we have a tendency in our informal world just to nod or go, uh-huh, or yes. Okay, they want an audible yes. and then you'll have a seat. And depending on the officer, they can do the interview any number of ways, but usually most officers will go through the form first. So your name, your address. It's a very calming time because it's all things that you know and know very well. If you get tripped up, and I've seen like somebody go blank on their zip code, it's okay. Just go, oh, I'm sorry, I'm blanking out right now, and you'll get through it. It'll be fine. And then they'll go through a series of questions that are on the form that I find offensive, but they have to ask. If you're a communist, if you're a terrorist, if you're here to overthrow the government, if you are a prostitute, I always mention that one because I had a gentleman get very upset when they asked his wife if she was a prostitute. If you owe any taxes, if you've ever been arrested, if you have been arrested, you probably should have seen a lawyer by now, and they should have gone through your all of your documents to make sure that you're eligible. And so I would highly recommend that. So if you have been arrested, you have all of the certified dispositions with you, and you're going to give them to the officer at that point. And they're going to see that there's no problem there with your particular arrest because you've already talked to a lawyer about that, a reputable lawyer. They're going to ask you if you've ever been married before. If you have your certified divorce decree with you showing that you were indeed divorced and now eligible to be married to the lovely person sitting next to you. And so they'll go through the form. They'll say, is this your signature on the form? Yes. And that's it. There's a lot of questions there that I didn't go over, so make sure you read the I-485 form to know exactly what they're going to ask you. The answers to the questions, typically, if you're lucky, are no. No. But you have to say it out loud and let them get through the whole question because, are you a terrorist? I mean, no, that's your immediate response, but that question kind of goes on. Are you a terrorist? Are you a Nazi? So let them ask the complete question and then give your answer audibly no. Okay. And then they'll ask you, do you know this person? How do you know this person? How did you meet? How did you begin dating? Who asked you out, or where did you go on your first date? When did you move in together? When did you decide to get married? All of those sorts of things you should be prepared to answer. Who proposed to whom? Where did you get married? Who was there? Questions that they might ask that tend to get tricky for people. I've heard of these nightmare questions. I don't see them very much because when a lawyer is there, they tend to behave. So if you think your interview might get tricky, you might want to get a lawyer. But the more difficult questions that they ask are, what'd you have for dinner last night? What did she have to drink? I don't know the answer to that question in my own life. And so the best advice I could give you, if you don't know the answer, I don't know what she had to drink. I wasn't paying attention. I was watching The Voice. She got up and went to the, whatever the truth is for you, answer the question truthfully. Or I work late, so she ate on her own, or, whatever it is, okay? Other questions are the names of each other's siblings. Some families are estranged, and you actually don't know the answer to some of these questions. So, maybe I should know that, but I don't. Or, she doesn't really talk to her family much, and I don't really push her on that. So I actually don't know the answer to that question. Whatever, they can tell when it's sincere and when it's not. So, whatever the truth is for you, that's what you want to say, because they can tell when something is true. They're pretty good at it at this point. Depending on the officer, they'll say, show me all your joint documents, or they'll say, show me your taxes. So just listen to what they're asking for and give them exactly what they're asking for. So the documents of, and we have other segments on this going through the list of exact documents to take to the marriage interview. So make sure you check that out. But typically you're going to show them your taxes that you filed jointly, married, filed jointly. You're going to show them evidence of your home together, so your mortgage listing both of you, or your lease listing both of you. You're going to show them utility bills listing both of you. If you're preparing to file an application, you don't have these things, maybe you should start acquiring them. In my home, one of us is on something and one of us is on the other thing. If I were contemplating down the line filing a marriage petition, I would we would add each other to those bills because they want to see joint documentation. And I hesitate there because I don't want you to do things just because immigration is coming down the line, but there's certain things they look for, so get it done. So joint taxes, your lease or your mortgage, joint bank statements showing activity. It's not enough just to have a bank account. They want to see this is your card, this is his card, and there's activity from both of you in that account, okay? You're both depositing, you're both spending money in that account, okay? And then joint insurance, your spouse is the beneficiary in your life insurance, your spouse is on your health insurance, you own a car together, or you have joint auto insurance. It can get down to, if you haven't been married that long, it can get down to things like we adopted this dog together, both of our names are on the paperwork. Whatever you have to show. If there really is nothing, they will take affidavits from family and friends. That's not necessary to bring at all unless you think that you're really short on information. They'll take letters from, if you go to church or synagogue or mosque, they'll take letters from the clergy there stating these people are in attendance every Saturday or Sunday or whatever the case may be. And we know them to be married, or I married them, and they're here every week and they're an active part of the church. They'll accept things like that as well. But I'd say put a box in the closet and just throw stuff in it periodically, print stuff out and throw it in so you have like good documentation. Give them a novel. You have everything that they're asking you for at the interview, and I think you're going to be just great, okay? You're married, so you're eligible and you're going to get it, all right? So we have some other segments on marriage petitions. Be sure to check those out because they go into far more detail about how to apply. If this is your... If you've been married for less than 2 years, you know that this is your conditional residency, so they don't expect as much information. Take as much as you have, but then if you've only been married for a couple months, maybe she's not on the utility bill yet, or doesn't have a social and can't be on a utility bill. So you can explain that, like, oh, as soon as she gets her social, we're going to add her, or whatever the case may be, okay? And then you'll have to go in down the line to remove the conditions on residency, and we have a really great segment on that, so be sure to check that out. And that's the point where you should have like a really great big stack because you've been married for a couple of years now, okay? And then if for any reason the marriage doesn't work out, you can still, after you have your conditional residency, apply for a waiver showing that you were indeed married, but that the marriage didn't ultimately work out. And we have another really great segment on that as well. So be sure to check it out. Thank you for watching GrayLaw TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe.